Introducing Carvana Value Tracker, where you can track your car's value over time and learn what's driving it. It might make you excited.
Whoa, didn't know my car was valued this high.
It might make you nervous.
Uh-oh, market's flooded. My car's value just dipped 2.3%.
It might make you optimistic.
Our low mileage is paying off. Our value's up.
And it might make you realistic.
Car prices haven't gone up in a couple weeks. Maybe it's time to sell.
But it will definitely make you an expert on your car's value. Carvana Value Tracker. Visit Carvana.com to start tracking your car's value today.
This is the smell of the leftover tuna fish sandwich you left in your lunchbox over the weekend in a wimpy trash bag.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy!
Blech! And this is the smell of that same sandwich in a hefty, ultra-strong trash bag.
Hefty, hefty, hefty!
Ah, smell the difference? Hefty Ultra Strong has Arm & Hammer with continuous odor control, so no matter what's inside your trash, you can stay one step ahead of stinky. And for bigger jobs, try the superior strength of Hefty Large Black Bags.
On this week's edition of The Big Three, I talk a little bit about playing time and some of the factors that may go into how much playing time your daughter gets or doesn't get. It's not as simple as maybe the coach just doesn't like her, or maybe he's trying out this new player. It could be a lot of different things, and not all of them are negative. He could be looking at a combination of players and see how this works versus another combination. It could be the game time has shrunk down from an hour and a half down to an hour. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So if you have any questions, please talk to the coach, ask them your straight up questions, and try to understand where they're coming from before you just think, oh, they don't like my daughter and it's time for us to find a new team. I hope you enjoy. I talked to a couple different coaches over the past week, and we have the same sentiment, I guess, as far as talking to kids and helping them understand the difference in not playing because of a situation that has occurred and not playing because of the situation in the game. So there's a couple different factors that go into playing time at different levels. So if we start back and we look at T-ball on the recreation level, and then we move on from there. At T-ball, it's for everybody. Everybody gets in, everybody plays. There's a set time or innings, or there's some sort of players have, X amount of time to be in a game. They have to. If not, then the coach is quote unquote illegal or not playing favorites, not playing fair, not whatever it is. So as you move in through that, it's the same way through 8U, 10U, all the way up in the rec sports where they have to play a minimum amount of innings, a minimum amount of at bats. And if you look at it on the outside, we all think, well, that's great. Everybody has the same opportunities. Well, I look at it, and a lot of other coaches look at it in a different light. So you'll have a girl that works her butt off 3 or 4 days a week on her own outside of practice, getting the same amount of playing time as a girl that only shows up to practice when she can because the parents have busier schedules and they got other stuff going on. And doesn't do anything outside of practice whatsoever because she knows she's going to get her 2 defensive innings and she's going to get her 1 or 2 at bats, whatever the league says. So if you take that, everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses these days. So travel ball is the big thing. Well, on the low end of the travel ball spectrum, I call it traveling rec. And the reason I do that is because you end up playing the same teams week in and week out. If you look at the sanctions that are around here, they're almost like killing each other off. It'll be, you got Top Gun, you've got U-Trip, you've got Tier 1, you've got USA, PGF. You got, there's a lot out there, honestly. Perfect Game, Triple Crown. I mean, there's a lot. Well, what happens is you'll see every single weekend Top Gun has 5 or 6 locations, and all the teams will be spread out except for a couple of the the big tournaments, and I'll put that in air quotes as well. So you end up seeing the same teams. Well, we're not going to Columbia this weekend because we've played these 4 teams. We'll go to wherever, Chapin or Loris, and we'll play in this 3-team tournament. We got a chance to win a ring. It's local or not local. It doesn't matter. So eventually, by the end of the season, your practice time is cut. So there needs to be more work done outside of practice, because you could have siblings, you could have other things going on. So a lot of that work doesn't get done. In the travel ball realm, 8-year-olds, 10s, 12s, there's not a standard says, hey, she's on your team, she's got to play 2 defensive innings and get at least one at bat. So you have coaches coming from the recreation into let's play a little bit more competitive. So let's get into the traveling rep. Girls that normally would play because the rules dictate are no longer getting those same reps because the coaches aren't being made to do that. Well, of course, mom and daddy are going to get involved. Well, why is Susie playing, but my Julie's not? And then we have to figure out, how's the coach going to approach that? How is he going to go about not rocking the boat too much, trying to keep, some type of cohesion within the group, but also making sure that player that is putting in the work is rewarded by that, because their skill set, dictates their playing time. So if you have all these factors, like how many girls are on the team, you got a 9-man roster, 10-man roster, there's probably going to be more playing time. If you go to a bigger roster with 13 or 14 girls, you've got to figure out, if you as a coach, every time you walk into that dugout, can you look at those same faces? And they're just looking at you. Mom and daddy wants them to get into the game. This is the first game grandma has been able to get to. Want to see Julie play. Julie hasn't been to a practice, and there's not a whole lot of hustle. So it's that, push-pull that you have, where it's like it wears on that coach's heart. He wants to get as many girls in to play that game, but he can't, because I don't want to use the word fairness, but it is fairness to the other girls on the team that are putting in the work. So it could be a situation where this batter is scared to get into the box. Do we still put her up there and let her swing, even though we know, and she'll tell you she's not going to hit the ball? Mom and daddy might tell you she's not going to hit the ball, but are we still going to put her up there in the last inning of a pool game that determines our seed? Parents, we got to take a step back and go, wait a minute. Rec ball and travel ball aren't the same. There's a ton of money that goes into travel. You can't expect your kid to have the same amount of playing time if you're not putting the work in at home, or if you're not doing certain things to make sure they're one of the top 9. Now, there are teams that have more than a top 9. There's teams with 12, 13-man rosters that at any given day, they are that top 9. So what's going to set you apart? Okay, we're facing a lefty. I rake against lefties. I'm going to continue to rake against lefties, and my coach knows that. So I'm going to be in that lineup. I know I am. The flip coin of that, or the flip side of the coin of that, is this, for whatever reason, this youngster cannot hit a lefty. So that batter has to that player either has to understand that and try to get better at batting against lefties, and they will. And there could be a spot where we get in, we run for somebody, we sub out, we do something. And as parents, we have to help them understand. We have to take ourselves out of the situation of, I want my kid playing no matter what. And you got to take into consideration the greater good. So you got to let those feelings subside a little bit, saying you want your kid to play as much as possible, but you also want your kid to be on the most competitive team possible. So sometimes for the team to be competitive, your kid may not be the best option at that time for that situation. So we have the situations may dictate playing times. Then we look at also specific skill sets. If we have, and I'm just going to use randoms here, if we have a player that is a B-level shortstop and is a B-level left fielder, we're not going to take a girl that is a D-level shortstop and move her to shortstop just to get her some infield playing time, because that's hurting everybody on the team. And you could look at it as, well, she's a average at best second baseman, but I have a girl that's better than average at second base. And you can flip them and go, okay, well, the opposite is true as far as right field or third base. So if your kid wants to play second base and, my kid never gets an opportunity to play second base. Well, does she work at second base? Has she ever came up to me and said something about wanting to try out for second base? Why doesn't so-and-so pitch? Well, if your kid is only pitching at team practices and on game days, how effective is your pitcher going to be? Well, Susie pitches, every time we play. Well, Susie goes to lessons once a week, and she works 3 days a week at home by herself. So she may not throw, strikes all the time. She may not be in the zone all the time, but she's working to do that. So, and then you also got time factors. Time factors is another thing. It happened this past weekend at Triple Crown. Our games were supposed to be an hour and a half long, so you're expecting 4-5 innings. Rain came in, and they had to change up the schedule quite a bit to get the 12U to move over to where the 14s were playing over at Grand Park. So the games they shrunk down to an hour. And man, when you've got 12, 13 head of kid on a team and they're all your best 9, and situationally, they're going to come in at different times. If you only play 3 innings and you only get up to bat twice because you don't have to bat in your bottom half, man, it's tough to get through a lineup and to get them in there to get in at bat, everybody. So then your coaches are using like DP flex. They might just be using a DP. They might be using subs. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that coaching strategy. And so this past weekend, there was situations to where, the games are going by so quick. You get a long first inning, you're already halfway through the game, and some of your players just don't get into play. It's not, they didn't do anything wrong. They've made every practice. They've done everything. It went above and beyond to get on the ball field. It's just the situation at the time, I couldn't get her in. It could be like, this girl she's my 3-hole and she's my third base, and she plays right field and she catches something like that. We're trying something new this time. We're going to try so-and-so behind the plate here. So we let her get her first inning in, and then she did really well. So we'll get her another inning, and maybe we don't get back out there. So this one just doesn't play. Or I could have 3 or 4 pitchers, and I want them rested for that next game or something like that. And yes, she can play first, she can play third, she can play short, she can play everywhere, but it's hot. It's over 100. The humidity's there. Whatever. So we're at a point where I'm going to try to save my pitcher. I used to do it all the time. I used to tell my pitcher in that last bracket game that you weren't coming in unless you were coming in to pitch. I hope I don't need you. And over time, we built that trust to where it's not that you can't play ball and you can't play these other positions. It's just, I need you for this. So that's a huge difference that you have between that rec level ball and the travel ball. And then there's a whole step above that where we're talking showcase playing time. So say you got a couple of girls that have already, they're committed. They're ready to go. They're just waiting their time. They're getting their reps in. They're going to the practices. They're doing what they need to do. You also have a couple of girls on the team that's not yet signed, and they're right there on the cusp. They're looking between 3 or 4 teams or 3 or 4 universities, whatever, trying to dictate as best they can where they go, and by getting in front of the right people. Well, that coach sees that and tells, maybe even tell his best pitcher who's already signed, hey, we're going to let her, toe the rubber most of the time. We might get you some reps in this weekend. That girl that's already signed is going to understand that. She's been through the game. She's a little bit more mature. Parents understand that, and it's a little bit easier to dictate playing time at that level. But if you've got a whole team that is maybe only has one girl signed, and you've got 14 or 15 girls, and you're trying to go to a showcase and play as much ball as possible, you only have that little, that small window to make your impression on those coaches that are there to come see you. So, a lot of the playing time factors does fall on the shoulders of that kid. And then there's circumstances where it's out of everybody's control. So as parents, I want to wrap up the playing time segment of this. As parents, we have to do a better job of defending our coaches' decisions to our kids as parents, and not jumping down a rabbit hole that may influence how our kids perceive what a coach says or does. Because the younger they are, the more impressionable they are. So on the ride home, if we're talking to our kids and we say, player X, Y, and Z couldn't catch a ball tonight, you didn't drop anything, I bet you'll start in front of them, or I bet you'll get more playing time, and it doesn't happen, then it looks like, okay, well Coach Smith is a bad guy, or tell them so and so is not very good, or you're better than so and so, or something like that. So when a coach makes a decision, you as a parent have got to back that coach, because you're the one that went to the tryout with your kid. You subjected them to that team in whatever capacity that may be. And you accepted the offer to go play for that coach. There's going to be good and bad, just like everything in life. Don't look at it as, well, I'm on this team today. This is where I played the whole time, or this is where they tried me out at. And this is where I'm going to be. And if you're not playing there next week, it may not be anything other than he's looking at somebody else in that position, or he could be looking for you to fill a hole in another position. So there's a lot of different factors that you don't know. And with that, if there are concerns and stuff like that, go talk to the coach. Find out, what can I do to help little Susie or little Julie get more playing time? And the coach will be honest with you. They're not going to, come at you as harsh in any way. They'll tell you straight up. And I guarantee you, in some capacity, they're going to give you the same answers that I've kind of given you now before we've even asked the question. So with body language and attitude, that'll dictate if the young is just not having a good day, you got a bad test grade, and they're just not feeling it, whatever reason. It could be clashing with the coach. The coach just, whatever reason, just doesn't have that same feel for Susie as he does for Julie. And that, it is what it is. And that could go into, maybe we don't stay here as long, and that's another thing too, as far as playing time. If you're not getting the playing time and it's just not a right fit for you for whatever reason, go about it the right way and talk about it to that coach. Don't go to other parents. Don't go to, Miss Jones beside you and say, I don't know why my Susie's not playing. She's just as good as this. And everybody knows she's just as good as it, but there's reasons there. There's a lot of factors that go into the playing time. So with that being said, we'll move on from playing time. If we have any questions or any comments, anything like that, you can put those into the comment section. All right. So there's a lot of different things you can unpack from that. One of the major things I want you to take away from it is it's not always as bad as it seems. There are a ton of reasons why playing time is bumped up in some cases or taken away in other cases. One thing that I'll always tell a girl that's trying out for a team or is trying to make a new spot or to maybe even keep her spot, as new girls come in, she ages up a little bit, sophomore, junior years in high school, is to make it impossible for your coach to take you off the field. Be that good, be that dedicated. And it's not just about the tangible stuff of, hitting every pitch or fielding every ball. It's the other stuff. It's the attitude, it's the emotion, it's the body language, it's how you communicate, and it's how you are as a person. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. and just understanding that the coach is human as well. If you have a team with 12, 13 girls on it, all 12 or 13 could be the best 9, and there's just not enough spots every single second of every game to have the girls on the field. So there's different roles they can play if they're not actually in the action on the field. There's different things that they could be doing. So, as always, if you like this type of stuff, please share it with a friend, and when you do, you tell them you love them.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.